Everyone. It's really a great pleasure for me to be here as a follow-up meeting, and I'm really pleased to see you all. My topic today is how to implement what we have accomplished last year in our institutions. In fact, what I did is to have a medical ethics and research ethics course be implemented in the graduate education as a full course for a full semester, actually. So let me just present my university. My university is Koç University. Is a research university based in Istanbul. We are a little bit on the Black Sea side. Okay, so it's not the south, it's the northern part of the peninsula. It's a small college, in fact, with more than 5,000 students compared to other big universities in Istanbul, but still quite a good cohort of faculty, and with 7 colleges and 4 graduate schools. We have 18 doctoral degree programs, 30 master's degree programs, and 73% of our students on scholarships. So it's a very competitive, actually. And in terms of research, I think we are able to attract quite a big extramural funding so far. So it's a vibrant research community, and people are quite keen to do research within international terms. Okay? We have all other institutional best practices that may be part of this research, responsible science, and science education. First of all, we have all research that involve human and animal subject needs to get approval from ethics committees. So this is also a very important part of the education, because if you cannot get through the ethical review, then you cannot do any research, basically. So all students are offered courses to develop generic skills in academic life, which is the core program in undergraduate years. All students go through this cycle for the very first year of their university education, which includes basic survival skills like time management, stress management, and research skills like library use, internet use, and biostatistics. So these ICT-based problems, for instance, being taken care of by this internet use and library use courses, basically, in the first year. We have a very nice and active learning-based coursework as published in a book saying that lifelong skills for young adults, and the code of the course is the Alice 101. And we also need to develop our ethics and bioethics basis. So that's why we have the Research Methodology and Ethics Summer Course, which is partly supported by Fogarty International Center and NIH, and which will be held this year as a 7th edition in this July. So basically the ethics review, which I'm responsible of, because I'm the chairman of the ethics board, the IRB, we have 4 separate ethics review boards, basically, all chaired by one person, and some members are overlapping, so that the IRB social studies, clinical trials, and biomedical studies, they have several overlapping issues here, so therefore not all members are completely different from each other. And the animal experiments are completely different scope, basically. So for all students, Turnitin is mandatory, so when they hand in their homeworks, but there is no systematic review for scientific integrity, basically. Okay, so the researchers are on their own. When they go publishing, they publish whatever they like, of course. But if something happens later on, it's their problem, basically. Okay? But they may be subject to the institutional audits and reviews, of course, afterwards. So what I did actually is to implement a core bioethics program with more emphasis on research ethics. The name of the course is the Medical and Research Ethics, and curriculum is based largely on the UNESCO International Declaration of bioethics. And I really suggest you to get a look at this document and the annex of these documents, of course, because it gives you a very comprehensive coverage for the ethics education program. I'm also a member of the Turkish National Committee for UNESCO Bioethics Commission. So therefore, I'm quite involved in these kind of activities, and then I want to take this opportunity of MENA to put together and then build a course that is mandatory for all graduate students in health sciences, because especially for the health sciences students, it's very important to have a comprehensive bioethics course, because all they are dealing with is somehow related to bioethics and human ethics, medical ethics, and research ethics all together. It's a very combining and bridging kind of topic, basically. So this is the 15 bioethical principles according to UNESCO Universal Declaration of Bioethics and Human Rights. So basically, the weekly program follows these lines here, these principles, with graduate students, both master's and PhD level, in health sciences, but also from the molecular biology and genetics and neuroscience program students also participated in that. And in the first fall, last fall actually, 14 students took the course. All students, and I expect this fall is going to be more. So we have a one semester based course, so therefore the course is being repeated in spring semester as well, but it is taught by a different person who is a professor and who is very experienced in these matters, but his teaching is completely, it's not the same scope basically. It's more oriented towards the classical kind of lectures, and but it's not lectures. Basically, all graduate courses is, the students prepare the course basically, and then they discuss at the session. Okay? So all students have basic understanding of bioethics and research ethics, but not familiar with ethics deliberations. So this is very important. It's not just the knowing the topic. Okay, so how you come up with a conclusion when you are facing of a very challenging kind of situations. Okay, in your professional life, in your research, and so forth and so on. So this deliberation part, tricks me off usually, and I try to make it more emphasis on this when they are taking decisions basically on case-by-case basis. But the good thing, okay, so I can just skip that part. This shows you the graduate education. It's already, they require the university education of at least 4 years for most of the students, basically. Okay? So how is the objectives? How are the objectives actually aligned with the activities and assessments? So basically, I put these learning objectives as a general topic here, but I'm not going to discuss this, but you will have the presentation, of course, so I can just skip that to show you more on the course schedule. So basically, it was a fall semester course with 14-week course. You see the last 3 weeks are mainly concentrated on research ethics, and the initial part is mainly what's the ethics, bioethics, the human dignity, human rights, benefit and harm, the consent. The major thing that I did actually, I have chosen, as in the UNESCO curriculum, several movies. Okay, so in every session we have this movie watched first, and then discuss the movie and other things. Okay. So, for instance, we start with 12 Angry Men, and this is a very well-known movie of Sidney Lumet, which shows the deliberation of a jury during the trial. So this is how the ethics committees basically work. Okay, so we decide either this pass or this fail. They always get angry, and we get lots of complaints from the university administration, basically. The second movie was let me just show you the movies together. The Wit. This movie also is a very touchy kind of movie. It's very difficult to watch. I think all students were crying out at the end of the movie, and then but it's really The Elephant Man also is a great movie, and as well as The Constant Gardener for the clinical trials. My Sister's Keeper, it's an excellent movie. This is his story of a child who's being, conceived by their parents to save the elder child who is sick of a genetic leukemia. Yeah.
Yes.
And so they used the newborn, her sibling, as a provider for the bone marrow transplantation several times. So is this, acceptable to use this as a, practice? This is a very, very challenging kind of questions, basically. The inconvenient truth is environmental sensibility is also very important. And the movie that we watched together, The Contagion, also is very important to discuss responsible science, basically. Okay, so I did pretty much the same thing as we did last year. So the important thing, during the classworks, I really wanted to make it a big deal with this concept maps, because I really liked the idea that I learned this last year, and in quite a few instances, though quite fruitful. For instance, we did a group work with infertility issue here. Why IVF is acceptable, not acceptable, knowing the gender of the child is a right or not, it's not a right, and those kind of things. So when they finished the IVF, the infertility group work here, I also sent them, a case story, a history about the, it was a trial conducted for HIV, actually. And as a homework, individually they prepared concept maps to explain that story, basically. Okay? So this individual work, I think, it's really helpful for them to digest the information, because when you go on your own and then try to do it the same, at home, it's very, very important. And several different ideas came out, and none of them are similar to each other, and with different emphasis, and made it much more complicated than it should be. And we discussed also the individual concept maps that are quite interesting, I would say. Not some of them may not be so to the point, not very well focused, but it's okay. I think this really has helped them to go over and then think the same thing with a different angle, actually, okay? As a homework assignment. So basically, my general assignment methods for the, okay. So we have this homework assignments, the class presentations, in-class participation, and city modules. We also, the university is a part of the city consortium, which is quite important as an online tool for the education. We also try to make it mandatory for people who apply for the ethics review, basically to have this city module. And also, Turkish Ministry of Health also requires that you need to pass a good clinical practice course before you go and do the clinical ethical review. So this is also part of that. Important points, I think the movies may serve as an icebreaker and open discussion topics. Case discussions and guided sessions may help to develop skills rather than conference-type lectures. The most challenging aspect, though, is the grading, because when you try to build a skill, it's not visible, by just doing the testing, maybe. And changing behaviors is very important. But the most challenging, I think, the building trust, because people doing research, they think that all over in the world, globally, there is a I would say, not so trustworthy. Okay, so people tend to do things not correctly unless they are called. That's why they kind of difficult when they watch those movies. Basically, they see that the world is very bad. Okay, so this is a very negative kind of impact that I not appreciate at first, and I try to correct this in the future. So when I come up with an idea, it is important to build a network among scientists all over globally and making sure that all scientists be part of it. Because if some people think that they are left aside, then they don't care with those principles, which is quite important, I think. And I thank you very much for organizing this workshop. And